This is What a Week.
What a Week. PoliTricks.
Eta, welcome to Wow What a Week, hashtag PoliTricks. My name is Fresh. His name is Botsang Modimowame Moiloa. And we're here to dissect and have a little chitty chat about events of this week, politically and politricksically. Is that a word?
I don't know if that word exists.
It now exists.
We invented the word PoliTricks. Now I see it's being used wisely. You see, these things are tricky.
Exactly.
I see it's used wisely.
Listen, if you have any comments, if you want to be a part of the discussion, please feel free to comment in the comment section. Subscribe, like, share links, and let's get the conversation going and keep the conversation going. Botsang, one of the big issues still, and in fact the other day I'd flown to Mozambique for the weekend.
Yes.
I had an event at South Beach in Maputo, and incidentally one of the president's sons was at this event I was doing.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, we're talking about your dad the other day on my podcast. So flying back in, I'm seeing the G20 signs. Obviously welcoming the G20 to the country.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh yes, it's the finance ministers this week.
Yes.
And the first thing I'm thinking is, do you think the other 19 finance ministers are going to make fun of our finance minister and say, budget?
Now, but Fresh, before we go into that quickly, I think we should apologize to the viewers and the followers. They have been getting it for last week.
Oh, yes.
That, I fell ill and it was an emergency. And I must actually apologize to you that you were driving from Botswana for our show, but I couldn't make it. I was in a very low state. And if we can find a way of when we know we are not going to go on air, I don't know technology.
No, we can do it.
Some note or something that will pop out. Because, people were calling me and screaming at me, but we sincerely apologize.
Apologies
for not being there last week. But going to the G20, you want to start with the G20?
No. Not even. It's not about the G20. It's about the fact that the budget didn't happen. Firstly, was it necessary? Secondly, was it even legal?
Okay, I have two opinions, and I'm glad you are asking the question that way, necessary and illegal.
Yes.
I must say, in modern day democracies, it does happen.
Sure.
Even in countries like, I know, for example, Germany, Italy, France, due to the multi-party system, it does happen that budget votes get postponed. Hear what I'm saying? Not debate, vote is the key word. They get postponed because there's no agreement. They get postponed because the opposition maybe, overpowered the ruling party. It does happen. In some countries, actually, a budget vote has been postponed so many times that the financial year will even start before the budget vote has passed.
Am I hearing you correctly in saying the budget should have been read out and rather than the vote happen and the debate happen afterwards?
Yes. What? And this is my position, and you also mentioned the word, is it legal? Where I come from, what transpired in South Africa last week, it is actually unconstitutional and illegal. And I'll tell you why I'm saying that. The MPs or member of parliament are our representatives. We have hired them. We have put them there to do work for us and to represent us. So stopping the debate, now this is where the change comes in, to take place in parliament where each and every political party or representative of the people has not had an opportunity to debate the budget, whether they agree or not, to debate the budget. It is actually unconstitutional. It's unjust and it's unfair to us as citizens of the Republic. The fact that we have a government of national unity which has displayed no unity in the cabinet. It is adopting the history of the ANC being the ruling party, where the ANC will make a policy decision in the Thule House, correctly so. They take the proposal of the Thule House into cabinet, they are the majority in the cabinet, and parliament then became what? Just a rubber stamp to policies and the budget vote. But the situation has changed now that within the GNU, if you take the proposal of the ANC, into cabinet, it may get backlash from other political parties which are part of government, and they disagree. Now they took a decision, the cabinet, which is the primary arm of the state, they take a decision not to go and table the budget, the proposed budget, to the second arm of the state, which is the legislative authority, which is a parliament, in its sense. So where I come from, Tato, is they should have taken the budget to be debated. Let me tell you what it could have done. It could have demonstrated to us as voters and as citizens which political party or political representative represents the interest of the voters. Now we don't know. We are hearing DA claiming this, Patriotic Alliance claiming this, and the ANC and others. They are claiming to have put this thing back, but we do not know. The official opposition, which is Umkhonto weSizwe, as well as then the fourth biggest political party in the country, which is the EFF, they were never given an opportunity to can debate and understand, because what is going to happen now? They are going to agree. They've already disagreed again this week. For the second time, they've sent it back. President Ramaphosa insists that it will sit and be voted into come the 12th of March. And somebody was said it's late. It's not late, because the financial year only commences 1st of April. The South African financial year starts on the 1st of April. But I still believe that the budget should have been tabled in the National Assembly, debated there, argued there, expose who's on which side, expose who's have lied to the masses during the election. Even if they don't agree, then it will go back, because they didn't agree. But that process of debating the budget should have taken place. And I'm worried that why is the official opposition, MKP, or the EFF, or anybody else, even normal residents and citizens, not taking this matter up with the court. And again, people must not confuse the two things. It can fail to be approved, but the process must have taken place.
It should have happened.
It should have happened. They've wasted the resources. They've wasted money. They come on the last minute. Some people were claiming that, but MPs leaving Cape Town. That's not all. There's a lot that goes into the arrangement for the budget vote and the budget debate. There's a lot. It's not that people just move from their parliamentary flats and apartment into the National Assembly. The place was rented, as we know that we don't have a parliament since it was burned down. So another fruitless expenditure.
So way forward?
Well, look, the way forward, like the president says, the debate will go on to the 12th of March.
What if there's an impasse in the 12th of March?
What could be the impasse? They must table it. It must be discussed. If they don't agree, it's okay. If you don't agree, it's okay to postpone. The suffering is going to be the people, because departments and provinces and municipalities are waiting for financial, aid to can be able to proceed, especially with issues like the US aid being withdrawn. So you are asking me, the ministers of finance or the Sherpas of finance, they wouldn't laugh at Minister Gauteng, because it does happen in the world. It is just that it's ironic that this thing happened when we are hosting the G20 Sherpa, finance Sherpas. On the eve of that, it's a bit embarrassing.
What are your thoughts on the SARS commissioner standing up and saying, guys, we actually don't need a 2% VAT increase. If anything, capacitate us at SARS to be able to collect money, and we will bring you the money that you feel is short. Did he throw the finance minister under the bus, or was it important that we heard from him?
Fresh, I'm glad you are bringing that up. I had forgot to put it on our schedule.
Yes.
Thumbs up to the SARS commissioner. And I will tell you why. I've always maintained that political office bearers, politicians, they deployed people. They don't know where to draw the line. They are confusing their position with the position of some of us who are civil servants, who are professionals in our fields. The SARS commissioner has a duty to collect revenue. That's the primary duty of the SARS commissioner, to collect revenue and make sure that the fiscus has the money. Due to lack of resources for collection, and laws that are support and empower the SARS commissioner to can impound, capture, take and assets of those who are not complying. He is actually appealing to the state to say, government and politicians, instead of increasing value-added tax, can we focus on the 800 billion that we are failing to collect, instead of putting the burden on the group? So the state is failing its duties. They are not supporting SARS or giving SARS the power to can do what it's supposed to do. And the SARS commissioner, who is an equivalent of a CEO or a director general, stands up and say, give me the capacity and the support to can collect the money instead of burdening the people. That's a representative. That's a real civil servant. But you know what it says to me politically? You asked me if he threw the minister under the bus. I think he did. And intentionally so. But what does it say to me? It says the relationship between the treasury and the revenue services, it is not good. Or the minister and as well as the commissioner. It came out on that unfortunate, and which I regard as fortunate for myself, unfortunate clip. It shows that either the commissioner of SARS is frustrated, is not having an open door towards the minister. It has demonstrated that. Sure. It shows that there's breakdown of communication between, because the minister is the political boss of the commissioner. SARS is an agency of the treasury. It shows that the reason for him to raise this issue at a press conference, it's unheard of, you understand? It shows that he's frustrated. He probably
So do you think he spoke out of turn?
I think he did. I think he did. And it was like, I'm being frustrated. I'm not being listened to. I will put up into the public gallery to demonstrate to the people and other political parties that this is the situation that I find myself in. Also, Tato, the problem, and to the viewers, it's for some of us who have been in government, we've been lamenting about that, about political interference, where a minister is interfering with the DG's work, but it was created by the deployment processes and culture of the former ruling ANC, where they went to an extent of making sure that people in the public service, not only up to DG, the apartheid government, when they negotiated the Codesa settlement, they had said the DG, the commissioners and the generals and up should remain with the apartheid regime. The ANC, when they took over after President Mbeki in 1999, because the ANC really took over after 1999.
Yes.
And what they did is they dropped the scale of deployment. So including the DDGs in government, the deputy commissioners, the lieutenant generals became political deployments. These days, even to get a job as a chief director in government, even if it's advertised, they are political deployments. You understand?
Yes.
It goes to that extent. And this is where the cracks are starting to show. And that's why a lot of professionals in the public service, they were frustrated that they left the public service or they were chucked out because they were not agreeing with their political principles. And the situation at SARS, for me, it's good that it happened.
Sure.
It's good that it's exposed. It shows, even the comments of, what is the lady's name, the minister and the president, Ntshavheni. Even her comments,
But don't the politicians know that mics are live until they're not on the desk?
But you're talking about not so clever people. Generally, politicians are not so clever people. That's why we find ourselves in this situation.
Yeah.
It is also not about the mic, Tato. For me, as civil servant, as a resident or the citizen of this country, it's the attitude. The fact that it is in their minds that the commissioner must go.
And a commissioner who, for all intents and purposes, has been very effective and efficient.
The commissioner that their political party, they are led by President Ramaphosa, recruited him into that position, and reports have been saying he is doing well. You understand? He is doing well. Now, why do you want that person out? And this is what people should think out. Once a politician wants a high-performing civil servant out,
that's a problem.
There's a problem. You must ask yourself, why? Why would the minister in the presidency, who is the number one minister in the country, and the minister of finance, how many other ministers want Mr. Kieswetter? I think the name is Kieswetter.
Kieswetter, yeah.
How many more ministers want Kieswetter out of SARS? Who do they want and why? That's what we should be wondering.
And imagine what you're not hearing when there's no mic.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, and now imagine what we are not hearing. Because
Exactly.
not everything has a mic attached to
Exactly.
it.
If there was no accident of the mic, how much more is happening behind the scenes? But thumbs up to Mr. Case Vetter. He was doing his job, and I'm a consumer. And one day we'll have a discussion. I was at UNISA yesterday, and they said they want a day for the VAT increase. By the way, those who studied economics will tell you the 2% VAT increase is actually not 2%. It's way above 20-30%. It's way, because it's a value chain. But it's a discussion for another day. The 2% is more than when you buy 5 kilograms of milli-meal. And there's VAT. Okay, milli-meal maybe is not a good example, because the government will always argue basic goods.
It's zero.
They're zero, exempted.
rated
They're
or
zero
something,
rated. But anything else that is subject to VAT, if you put 2% of it, it's 2% from its production throughout the value chain until it lands on your table. So there's 2% that is being added throughout. But that is a microeconomics discussion for another day.
Let's, while we're speaking about money, move to Gauteng province. Premier Panyaza Lesufi gave his State of the Province address.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
There's nothing to talk about, Fresh. Panyaza, I'm getting more disappointed. I like Premier Hendrik Panyaza Lesufi as a person, but as a politician, I think his hands are tied. I still say I don't know if politicians don't understand that the station of the nation or state of the province address, it is to map out what are your plans, and don't count the things. You can report a little on what you have done before, account, and don't talk only about things that you have achieved. But this is a pie in the sky. Panyaza Lesufi, these things will not be achieved, Tato. He's talking about a number of job creations. Again, economics, graduates will tell you, you cannot talk about non-sustainable jobs, even if they are permanent. What is the biggest problem in South Africa now? It's unemployment. If we break unemployment down, there's structural unemployment, and there's unemployment of graduates. Now, if you're going to create work, even if it's permanent, like the Gauteng marshals that are called, what do you call them? Mapanyaza, the wardens. They're in permanent positions that I still believe is not sustainable. We saw during the course of this week illegal immigrants being moved out of buildings in the country. The Mapanyaza and the police metro couldn't handle them. But we are missing the point and the focus. The point is, a lot of graduates, let's not talk about matriculants only. We've got doctors, lawyers, nurses, technicians, and a lot of people with degrees and diplomas and higher certificates that are roaming the streets. That is what should be our concern, that we encourage children to go to school. They finish matric, they go to tertiary institutions, various tertiary institutions. They graduate, and we are sitting with thousands, hundreds of thousands of graduates who are not getting jobs. The day the government or any province like Gauteng employ those graduates in permanent jobs, sustainable jobs, that's when you are fighting, what do you call it, unemployment. But when you pick up people because they are idling, I don't say people who have matric only must not get jobs. We're actually supposed to encourage those ones to study further and up their skills. Understand? And hire the graduates. We should create jobs. I mean, the president of the country a few years back, he had this symposium or conference of a job creation conference with international people in Sandton. What fruits did it bear? I don't think Panyaza will achieve what he wants to achieve. Talking of that, there's something that made me laugh. When he spoke about the security in downtown Joburg and that he's going to build a mall, the biggest mall in Africa will be where? Where in Joburg? Who will come to downtown Joburg to shop in the biggest mall when we can't maintain the existing ones? Show example with the existing ones.
There are rotting buildings and infrastructure downtown Josie.
That's one. Two, the security of coming to shop here. Three, What is Panyaza doing with building malls? Who's benefiting from that? He's a political office bearer. He's not a businessman. Business people are the ones who determine. Government is not supposed to concern itself. Somebody may argue with me to say, no, look at the bigger picture. If the government builds a mall, the government can't build a mall when they can't fix a pothole. Why do you want to build a mall? How will I get to the mall when there's no road that takes me to the mall? And when I feel unsafe.
Yeah, but at the mall, you'll have a rim repair shop. So as you buckle your rim on a pothole on the way to the mall.
Yeah, then you'll spend money there fixing it.
And then we'll also have a firearm shop there.
Yeah.
So that if you feel unsafe, you can might as well
get a fire. But it's not as easy as you talk. But I'm very disappointed, I must say, with the Gauteng State of the Nation address. You know, when you were speaking about the mall and the safety here, 2 weeks back, I listened to one of the MMCs. I can't remember, on radio. They were talking about the cameras they've installed to guard the traffic lights. I nearly became a real South African. I nearly said robots. To guard the traffic light. The Gauteng, Joburg, they installed cameras to guard traffic lights because traffic lights are being vandalized to steal copper cables or not only for that. You know that it has become business for some people that traffic lights are not working.
Yes.
It's a business for other people. The conductors.
No, just like not having a running water is a business for other people.
Yes.
There's always a parallel economy somewhere happening.
Guess what?
Yeah.
This MMC, you know, I could not believe what I heard, says they stole the cameras. So they installed a second camera to guard the first camera that is guarding the robot. That's the kind of decision makers. I'm not, somebody can go and check, I'm not lying. It was an MMC from Gauteng or an MEC who was saying they've got cameras guarding their traffic lights. The camera gets stolen, then the traffic light gets stolen. Then they decided to install the secondary camera to guard the first camera, and that gets stolen as well. And you still want to tell me that Gauteng will be a safe place with this kind of thinking? My problem is the thinking of political office bearers. They're not in touch with the reality. And I always say, if you want to solve the crime problem in the city center of Joburg, you must deploy people who live in the city center of Joburg, who are qualified to be law enforcers, who can tackle that crime. They know. You know, it takes a criminal to catch another criminal. And that's the way to deal with these things. Now we are in talk shows. And look, 3 out of 10 for Panyaza Lusufi's Sona. What's SOPA?
SOPA.
Yeah.
But remember, there's also the case of the 250 million rand for cancer treatment that was returned.
Yeah. Look, we discussed that before, Tato. What could be done when the state gives you money and you know, with cancer killing people in the province, and they don't use it because of what we call it, of red tape and administrative errors, and it's all red tape. And these are the people who are supposed to be caring. And it's an element of not caring if you send millions or billions of money back. And this country has money, Tato. There's money. You must hear when they talk of budgets, when the Minister of Finance talk of budget, we are now on a 3 trillion debt. By the way, are you aware? South Africa is actually on minus. We have a debt of 3 trillion this past week. 3 trillion. You know how much is it? It's about 500,000 for every that we owe as individuals, for every citizen. Our kids 30 years from now will be paying this debt. 3 trillion, that's how much we owe the IMF and the World Bank.
And isn't the interest alone billions a day?
That is what is killing us. And that's why they're trying to use tax to avoid to go and borrow more money. And we think we have a government. And I mean, it's like you have placed somebody to run your finances or your business. And you think you are making profit, or you are growing, or you are progressing. We are not growing. We are not progressing. What is it that is working in this country? We woke up to stage 6 load shedding this week after the ruling party, the ANC, or the leading party, as well as ESCOM, and now we have a Minister of Electricity who's turbocharged, and we're told load shedding is a thing of the past. What has happened? It came back, And they want to blame, at times when politicians talk, I think they think South Africans are stupid, or maybe we have reached a stage of we don't care. When the government comes and say, we are sorry, the coal was wet, you saw when there's been too much rainfall, so the coal is wet, therefore we can't provide you with electricity. Now, I said, why can't experts come of electricity? People like my friend Tsepo Kadima, and check. I bet that on my last cent. If we can go and audit and check ESCOM proper, trust me, the electricity that they managed to give us in the 300 days, we were clapping hands for them. It did not come, majority of it, via coal. Something has been burning, and I think diesel has been burning. And that's why trillions or billions of rands have gone out towards ESCOM, towards fuel manufacturing companies or suppliers of that. I don't think it was from coal. And I think this is being done intentionally because the residents were not active civilians that are questioning how has ESCOM managed to keep their lights on for over 300 days? That they couldn't keep one rainfall in 1 week, as if it's the first time this country has so much rainfall in the history of South Africa. There was rain, yes, for 1 week, but why is the coal wet? Where are the coal reserves? You understand? What planning was there? We've got South African weather services. They provide information prior. What did ESCOM do and the coal suppliers to make sure that the coal does not get wet? Risk mitigating factors.
Yeah.
And that should be common cause. And we don't have that. I don't think South Africans are incapable of mitigating risks. I don't think we are incompetent. I think there's a deliberate intention to can sabotage the state and to can keep money flowing to the wrong areas. That's my opinion with that. I think so.
We're going to flow straight to the G20.
Yes.
The finance ministers, they're here this past week.
This past week, yes.
And one of the big stories on the sidelines was about the fact that, again, America is going to not send a minister. They'll send someone further down the...
They've even changed it.
Yeah.
You probably missed the news in the last minute. One, America is one of the founders of the G20. And for those who do not know, the G20 was born out of the G7.
Sure.
Of which the G7 was the 7 biggest economies of the world, which included Russia. Now, on the sidelines, President Trump is busy engaging President Putin to come back to the G7, because the G7, when the G20 was born to include developing countries, that's when sanctions were put against Russia. So Russia left the G7. But the G7 went, submarine, because the G20 became a bigger thing. It was a G18 at some stage, G19. Now they've brought Africa as little babies to come as a bunch led by South Africa. So Africa is a country, it's not a continent with 54 countries. And South Africa is hosting, it's historical. And people are clapping hands. We host all international events, guys, and we do very well in hosting. What do we get in return? We have hosted some of the best events in the world, better than any other country. But what is in hosting? They come here, they see our beautiful flora and fauna, they see the Big Five, they play golf in our courses, they see that we are one of the few countries that has the Indian and the Atlantic Ocean, and they come and they identify business opportunities, they leave. But in this instance, the United States has actually slapped South Africa being the host, not the G20. I don't think the attack is on the G20. I think the attack is on South Africa. It's continuing. One, they are not sending in the main meeting, which is next month of the G20. The President Trump is not coming. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of the USA, what did they call States as Secretary of State, is not coming. Now, the G20 political process is normally preceded, just like BRICS, it's preceded by the Sherpas.
Sure.
Which are ministers of finance and the DGs of finance. As in other countries, they have governors of the Treasury or the Reserve Bank. So these meetings happen in Cape Town. The United States did not even send the Secretary of Finance or of the Treasury. The United States is not even sending the DG or the governor of the federal bank.
But President President Ramaphosa, though, on the sideline said, yes, there's all this talk about America not showing up, but we have work to do and the work is going to be done either way.
Look, he has no choice, but the work has to happen because other 19 countries are there. I don't know if they will all come, all 19, or send proper representation. I do not know. But I think America is showing South Africa a middle finger. I'm sorry for my language, but I'll tell you why. They are not even saying the ambassador. Okay, they don't have an ambassador in South Africa at the moment since Britagy left. They are sending a junior official, not even an acting ambassador, maybe a trade representative or economic representative from the embassy, the most junior officials in the cycles to go and attend this meeting. And it shows, the Minister of Finance said they've got important meetings of America, of the Treasury. They've got important meetings happening in the USA that he has to attend to domestically. You see what they are doing? They are prioritizing the internal affairs of the USA.
Sure.
Unlike our political office bearers, they will be running to events all over the world and neglecting the crisis at home. There's crisis in the USA internally. They've been in power for what now? Only 1 month, 5 weeks, you understand, since the inauguration. So there's crisis. They are saying instead of us going to party in the Republic of South Africa at the beautiful Cape of Good Hope, there's no hope in the Cape when these people are sitting there and they don't come with resolutions. They decide they'll stay internally to resolve the problem and receive, guess who? During this week, they're going to receive AfriForum, Solidarity, the DA is going to go there, and President of Ukraine, Zelensky. That's how Americans think, and I applaud them for that.
Sure.
Instead of coming to this big party that is not going to bear fruit, President Zelensky, early this coming week, will be signing, and President Trump says it's not a state visit. He is coming to sign a deal. That's the words of President Trump. He's going there to sign a deal to say, we'll spend billions on Ukraine, Ukraine. You have used all our money to destroy your country to fight Russia. We are no longer going to support the war. We are friends with Russia. Now we are talking to President Putin. We want you to sign this deal that since you don't have money to pay us back, and that's America for you, you will give us rights to can mine rare minerals.
Imagine.
Rare minerals, then we'll get our money back. Thumbs up to the Americans. They know how to raise the economy. I've been saying American economy is reliant on the army or fighting or destroying other countries. This rare mineral, guess where are they fresh? When I went to search, what is this rare minerals and where are they? This is the interesting part. They are in an area that is occupied by Russia and captured by Russia. Actually, it's circled by Russia.
Do you figure that is why this initial meeting about Ukraine did not involve Ukraine?
Exactly.
And it was just the Russians.
Yes.
And it almost seems like now Trump was saying or alluding to the fact that if the deal is successful, Russia will keep her gains.
Yes.
Because they fought for them and won. Is he normal, this man?
He's normal.
Because what you're doing, let's suppose we allowed that. That because the Russians captured whichever town, they can have it now.
Yeah.
Because we fought about it. Do you know how many tracts of land are in dispute globally, whether it's Kashmir region between Pakistan and India,
the Tibet between China,
Eritrea area with Somalia and Ethiopia,
Eastern DRC.
There might even be tension there in the Caprivi Strip between Botswana, Namibia, and Angola.
Yes, that as well. Yes.
So if we open that door, we're basically saying, guys, fight. If you win, you take the land.
Yeah.
How World War II is that?
Look, it will not lead to a world war.
No, but in terms of the thinking, that if we fight for it and you win, it's yours. I mean, the United Nations was set up precisely because we need to avoid going back there.
Look, me and you, we have long said the United Nations is a toothless dog amid the treaties that they have signed. But America has been doing that. They know they can't fight Russia. They know they can't fight China. And the areas that are occupied by China and Russia, America's interest in those areas, whether it's in the Himalayan mountains of Tibet, whether it's in Ukraine, they may end up coming to us and say, hey, Lesotho and Eswatini, can you start claiming your land there? We'll assist you. You understand?
Yeah.
It is the minerals. Again, America supported the war the NATO was sleeping. The Europeans were sleeping. They didn't see the bigger game. That's why I always tell people, it doesn't matter who is at war in the USA, who is in power, whether it's the Democrats or the Republicans. It doesn't matter. It's the same people. It's the two sides of the coin. The Democrats start wars. The Republicans come and say, no, it's the Democrats who will clean up. So these ones are business people. These ones are idiotic warmongers. And that is what is happening. Biden and his people, they went and they destroyed Ukraine. They pumped trillions of money. Trump comes and say, we want our money back, or we want that piece of land. I think the Americans were smart not to go and fight with Russia because they know what it can lead up to. They may not even win that war. You understand? Instead of fighting, Trump is focusing on the minerals. We want the minerals. And let me tell you, Zelensky will not be in the White House more than an hour. He's going to go there like a little boy, like a comedian, and perform his show there of signing the document, and he'll be out. Otherwise, what is America going to do? Or how is he going to pay back the Americans their money? Trump wants his money back. And you must ask yourself, why wouldn't Trump want his money back from Israel? Because they've supported Israel. Because there is nothing to fight for in Palestine, in the occupied Palestine. That's why they don't care. And they are focusing on where they can benefit. And let me tell you, President Putin is sitting back, is looking at these people that he told them, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to occupy that land. The Ukrainians, who are Russians originally, they want us there. We have taken over. Now Russia and America are going to share the minerals of that occupied region. Instead of them fighting, thumbs up to these people. I don't say it's right to occupy another person's land. But I've always said, as long as it brings peace and we don't lose life, let them loot those minerals. Anyway, they're looting everywhere. At least Ukrainians can build their country and live as poor as we are. We must accept at some stage to say, if it's not worth fighting for, let it go. Understand? Let it go. And this is a wake-up call to the Ukrainian people. They must be very ashamed to have allowed a comedian. One you elect a president, or a comedian to be the president, a TV star who's known for being a comedian, dressed up in military. I don't know if he can even operate a rifle when he's always dressed in camo. But I'm saying Trump is showing the world how to run political business.
Sure.
And whether we like him or not, understand, he's showing the world how to run political business. You know one thing that I'm going to start you with this one. You can think about it this week.
Yes.
I was thinking, as I was driving to the studio this morning, do you think it's a coincidence that we are hosting the G20, ESCOM collapses and go on to load shedding, and we know the story of the coal and how the world wants our coal? Trump is cutting US aid to South Africa. Do you think it's a coincidence? I don't think so, Fresh. I don't think it's a coincidence that all these three things that are major affecting our economy and our lives are happening in 1 week, all at the same time. It says to me, what if part of the US aid money that has come out clear now, exposed by Musk, they said Musk unmasked this thing. His department exposed that some of the money that was intended for HIV and AIDS in South Africa specifically, went to military operations, intelligence operations, and business operations that America has interest on. What if the US aid money has been keeping ESCOM afloat? What if the US aid money has been keeping our budget afloat, that for the first time in 30 years? I was just applying my mind. that a person can look at the bigger picture to say it is too much of a coincidence that in 1 week we have level 6, boom, Trump cuts the money, Elon Musk and Musk to say the money that was meant for HIV, it went to other things.
But does he have evidence of that?
He provided some of the evidence to say when they look at the records, to say, for example, they sent 600 billion to South Africa. They can account where the other money, maybe on the 600 billion, 200 billion went to the HIV AIDS programs. The other 400 billion, it's somewhere in South Africa, it's somewhere in our hands. Botsang got a chunk claiming to be running an AIDS thing, and Botsang is running a military camp. Fresh is there doing something with the other money. You understand? They provided that. Now they're having a full-scale investigation of where did the money go actually.
Looking at Elon Musk's, what is it? DOGE.
Yes, DOGE.
Department of Government Efficiency.
Yeah.
Is there merit in saying maybe we need a similar department here?
We had one. We forgot.
And then what
Monitoring and
happened?
evaluation.
But what did it monitor? Did it evaluate?
No, but remember the problem with that one was they were monitoring themselves. That's the ANC ministers monitoring themselves. I think it's good. My answer is I think it will be good to have that. Somebody may say we'll be duplicating SOPA.
Yeah.
But SOPA it's a committee of parliament with limited resources. I think in the GNU, this other, how many parties are in GNU? Is it 10 or 11? Sometimes people say 10, sometimes say 11. I've lost count. I think if they can form that ministry, independent from the presidency to guard the country, Tato,
Sure.
and how ministers are performing. We must bring back that Minister of Monitoring and Evaluation. But we know what President Ramaphosa did last year when it was supposed to go for scorecards. It's like, I'm not going to expose how my ministers performed. But now he's not alone. The ANC is not alone. It's an opportunity that the Gauteng McKenzie's and the Helen Zille's and everybody else who's sitting there, they can make noise about this. But unfortunately, it looks like the ANC has an upper hand over these parties. Even if the DA can scream and tumble, I think the ANC has an upper hand. I mean, look at, sorry for diverting quickly, look, while we are actually on the US, this is relevant. Look at the conduct and the behavior of the Democratic Alliance. Yeah. It is the second biggest party in the country, although they are part of the government. Then they are on the sidelines. On the sidelines, the DA goes and says, we are going to meet after Solidarity and AfriForum, and the DA will visit the US White House with Agri-SA. They are going to table a paper. These people are in government, and President Ramaphosa is still keeping them. Yeah. Why do we keep people? The USA has refused. Our ambassador, Ibrahim Rasool, has been in the US from January. You know, we were quick to do that. When President Trump was inaugurated, Ambassador Ibrahim Rasool was already in the US. Ambassador Rasool hasn't met President Trump, hasn't even met the officials in the president, not even the Secretary of Foreign Affairs. Two, South African government, you remember earlier when we started this year, and there was this crisis, our Minister of Finance, Minister Lamola, mentioned that the president has created a team, an envoy that is going to America to clear the air. And until today, America hasn't accepted those people. But they go and they accept in the White House Solidarity
and AfriForum.
Who are going and talking against the state. I've read the Constitution. You know what Solidarity and AfriForum are saying by lying about the expropriation as well as the killing of white people in South Africa. And it's treasonous what they do to go to another state. It is actually, if you read point number 4 in the Constitution, what constitutes treason. If you go bullet point 4, it says engaging another state in order to disadvantage your own government. I may not be using the exact words.
Yes.
And that is exactly what Solidarity, AfriForum, the Democratic Alliance are doing. They go and engage another state. America can say, we are a sovereign state, we can talk to anybody that we want to. It's fine. There's the Americans. But these people, some of them are in government, some are NGOs, like AfriForum is an NGO registered in South Africa. They go and they commit a treasonous activity, and nobody, neither the government nor the civil movements or opposition parties are standing up to say, let us lay treason charges against these people, because what they are doing is treasonous. You must ask yourself why. The DA that is always protecting the Constitution, instigating Minister McKenzie, who always says the train has left, the EFF are left behind. This is a constitutional democracy. AfriForum, the DA, that he's sharing coffee, biscuits, and the table with, they are doing something that is very unconstitutional.
Sure.
You understand? So I have a problem with President Ramaphosa not acting on that.
So AfriForum are said to be meeting with some of Trump's people in the White House.
They met.
Yes.
Yes.
And because they were saying that they were not there to unsay what they said. In fact, if anything, they've added to it.
Yes.
And they're now talking about self-determination and self-determination way.
In the Cape.
Way.
Remember there's that referendum that's running on social media.
No, remember,
Cape
for the
Seat.
Cape to be its
Cape
own
Seat,
little...
yeah. Is the Cape, I think they will put some of the Free State. But they want actually what AfriForum, Solidarity, the DA, and Freedom Front Plus, and others support them. What they want to do, they want to change the map of South Africa. They want to redraw the map. And I can tell you, Tato.
On whose watch?
And on our watch, on Ramaphosa's watch. We are sitting, we are watching them. They are lobbying. You know, during the liberation struggle, we lobbied countries that supported us. The Scandinavians were some of the countries that supported us. That's why, what do you call it, some Asian, that's why Pepsi, and I'm sad that companies like Pepsi, Volvo, what is the Swiss car maker? There's another Swiss car maker despite Volvo, Saab.
Saab, yes.
Saab. They come back to South Africa and they don't make it, and they supported us. They were loyal to our liberation cause. They supported us. We lobbied these countries. The traitors, the Americans with their Ford and their Jeep. Sorry, my fellow Jeepers. The Germans with their three, German markets, VW, Mercedes, and all that. And then the British with their Jaguar and Mini, and they remained in South Africa. They remained here and supporting the apartheid regime. Now we are in power. We are watching the benefactors of the apartheid regime. You understand? The Dutch, the settlers, the AfriForums, benefactors of the apartheid regime that we were told to reconcile with, that we were told to forgive and let's build a rainbow nation. They leave us sitting here. Actually, they're showing us a middle finger. They're leaving us to say, you're not getting the land. We actually want to take more.
Yeah.
America, please come and help us that this swart men must not get whatever they want. They kept the business. They kept the land. They disregard the government of the day. They disregard the laws and the supreme law of the Constitution and do as they want. And we think we have a government. We think we have a president that is empowered by the Constitution. He still keeps people in his cabinet that are defying the Constitution of this country. Why would the president do that?
Exactly.
Why would he allow that? Why would the ANC, as much as Menom Vola Mokonyane, the Deputy Secretary General, can talk on the side? Why is the ANC, NEC, and their stalwarts and those veterans that they are bringing back into politics don't rise and say, this is not what we fought for, this is not what we negotiated for in the compromise, negotiated political settlement, will not allow this to happen under our watch. Why is the ANC not doing that? You understand? We are allowing it, and trust me, we'll wake up one day, Tato. There will be a US-supported UN resolution that white people must be given part of South Africa and they're protected by the UN Charter. The way the Jews did in Palestine. That's what AfriForum is trying to do. The Jews did that in 1946, 47? They did that. That's why Palestinians are landless. Because they officiated it to an extent that the United Nations organization started talking about two states. The state of Palestine and the state of Israel. Somebody comes to your house, you've got a shack that has 4 rooms. It's your kitchen, your living room, your kids' bedroom, and a shack. They say, we don't have a place to stay. You give them the living room. Then they take your kids' bedroom. Then they take the kitchen. And then they still go to the United Nations and say, we want half of the bedroom that they are left with. And let that be legislated. It's happening.
You know what confuses me, Botsang? We carry on, for instance, about the sovereignty of, when you look at the war.
Yeah. Which war? Or general?
No, the
Ukraine war.
Ukraine war.
Yes.
We're talking about an incursion into a sovereign country. The Security Council are busy with the resolution. Why are there never resolutions on the land that Israel has been taking from Palestine for 50 years?
They have.
And then what happened?
Well, Israel defied them.
But the point I'm making is, then why should Russia listen? If you guys are so toothless that you can't deal with an Israel, why should we listen?
But that's what the Russian government, that's what President Putin said. He said, don't bring me UN resolutions here.
Yes.
When there are land occupation that has happened not only in Israel, before me.
Yes.
And even China. Russia is very close to China. How many more pieces of land is China occupying? But like I said, these resolutions, it depends on whose side are you.
Yes.
Yeah, you understand? It depends. Once you are on the side of NATO and the Americans and the former colonizers, then you are safe because they will protect you. But with Russia could fight them back. They can't touch them.
Exactly.
Nuclear arms and what. Russia was like, bring on NATO. You dare use your nuclear to help Ukraine. I'll respond. I'll retaliate.
Exactly.
What do we have? We didn't even have a jet to go and pick up our fallen soldiers in Kampala.
Dude, imagine you're injured, but you can't get proper help.
It's age, bro. Yeah. Anyway, it's on our list.
I was going to say, let's actually go there. Let's go there. SANDF, M23, DRC,
we are
RWANDA.
done with the G20 and our friend
There's targeted sanctions already against one of the Rwandan ministers from America. We have injured men and women, troops still there who haven't been airlifted.
Yes.
Guys, Kanti, how difficult is an airlift?
Do we have aircraft? You remember
we have budgets to fly ministers wherever they want to go. Why can't we, maybe, like I said, I watch too much TV. that we see an Apache chopper flying into a war zone and picking up wounded and then leaving.
And we have the Rayfalk, better than Apache.
I am so confused.
It's not. Don't be confused, Tato. The confusion was cleared by a Lieutenant General of the South African Health and Medical, who's facing music now for stating those in there. Look, I think the general, I just forgot the name. I know that he's a doctor by profession, by the way. No?
Yes.
He is the head of one of the wings of the army, South African Health and Medical Services. Now, from what the general has said, and I've watched the parliamentary debate on the South African army, we don't have those resources. We do not have the money. The military, the general is right. Yes, he may have used the wrong platform to express his frustrations, but he was appealing to politicians.
Yes.
To say, I don't think he crossed the line. People are like, he's a military man. He was not supposed to talk about it.
Hey, this is how coups end up happening.
Yeah, nonsense. If protocol is not respected by political office bearers, why should civil servants and functionaries observe protocol? The functionaries, the civil servants, the lieutenant generals of the army, they go to parliament and parliamentary to ask for money. Parliament denies them money for whatever reason and resources. You understand? And he is frustrated. So it means his principals failed to do their political work to convince parliament. Now he's showing his frustration. The way is, if you look at the conduct of this general, and I apologize to the viewers for forgetting the name, if you look at his conduct, it's the same as the conduct of the SARS commissioner. If you look at it, they may be on the same level because they are, executives of government entities. But it shows the frustration of civil servants and functionaries vis-a-vis the political office bearers. That's one. Tato, you are saying you are confused. Do you know that our injured 3 soldiers, 2 pregnant ones, and it exposed something. When this whole thing started, we said, yes, there are reasons to keep stuff secret, but it is becoming out clear now that actually the Minister of Defense, and the Deputy Minister of Defense, General Holomisa, and that their supporters, they lied to the nation. They didn't tell us all the information. When they repatriated the 14 fallen military personnel, why do you leave the injured ones? And 2 of the 3 injured are said to be in critical condition. How come did we leave them behind when we had critically injured? I mean, what can it take? A military jet carry hippos, they carry tankers. This is not a small thing. Why did they leave them behind? When there's a war, I'm not a military expert, but I at least know the little that whenever there's a war, you first save the vulnerable, the injured, the elderly.
Evacuate the injured.
Evacuate those. You understand? Why did we leave them behind? Now there's over 150 that we have brought back home because there's noise happening regarding these soldiers. And guess what? You know, as I was sitting there observing, I expected the South African military jumbo, pardon me, to land near my place there at Waterkloof. No. You know how they arrived there? With the Tanzanian Air Force jet. They came with the Tanzanian Air Force jet. So another country transported our injured, pregnant, and over 100 military personnel evacuated back home.
Pregnant?
There's 2 pregnant ladies there. Okay, don't start that story. Don't be a windy. Did you see the windy tweet? That was distasteful.
What's his name? Premier Windy?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're on a mission. When you decide to do a missionary, like,
Tato, it is their constitutional right. I want to see.
When do you have time for Hunyiwa?
No, probably there were no fights. That time there was no attack. And they're human beings, Tato, they still have a constitutional right to Kenyan. What if these people are in a relationship? They started a relationship. You know, my 3rd ex-wife was in Burundi.
Me, if I meet you and you're a soldier and we're there, first thing I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
What's the prevent?
What if you want kids? What if you want kids? Who said soldiers are not supposed to build families?
No, I get it. I get everything that you're saying.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't expect that in the middle of a
war.
They're in the middle of a war. Yes, it's called a peacekeeping, whatever it's been called.
Yeah.
But not only, it's okay then. If you're going to have sex, have sex.
But make sure you don't get pregnant.
But like the SANDF, you can't pull out.
Tata, you know what? We are stepping into a constitutional right of individuals here.
Sure.
And I will defend our soldiers. They are human beings. Like I said, you know, I saw it happening. My ex-wife was stationed in Burundi for many years, before we got married. And when we got married, I'm like, you are not going back there. So I relinquished my post in Mozambique, she relinquished her post in Burundi, and we said, we are staying home. Or else you'll come back pregnant.
But what are you worried about?
No. I didn't want us to stay abroad. You know, she was in Burundi, I was in Mozambique. And I was like, no, let's go back home. I want to be with a family. And these people, they probably wanted to build family. They are there for peacekeeping purposes. We have military personnel who are at military camps or barracks, but they are not gun carrying. We've got service personnel there. So we must think of those things. And I know people, it's very common in the, law enforcement, the police, the soldiers and all that. It's very common that there are relationships and marriages that come out of that. It does happen. And I say, imagine sitting in the middle of DRC, Goma for 2 years. What happened to your, what happened to your social, your biological needs? I know people argue to say they should have used prevention or condoms or withdrawals or what, but hey, the situation is, we had 2 pregnant women, they had to be brought, they are heavily pregnant. They had to be brought back home. Again, the situation in the DRC, and I've said it before, it looks like somebody was listening. In the military, when you withdraw, when you retreat, it's not to say you are a coward. You may retreat to go and recoup. and refocus of what do we want there. You understand? And guess what happened? There's another story that was interesting for me. Do you know how they were evacuated from Goma to be flown from wherever, through Kigali, through Rwanda, the same Rwanda that we accused of fighting against South Africa? I've heard people in the ANC leader to say, let's go and attack Rwanda. I've heard Gauteng McKenzie said, we can wipe Rwanda off. We had to go and knock at Rwanda's doors and said, please, Mr. Kagame, yeah, we know you have been fighting with Ramaphosa on Twitter, but can we use your road and your airspace to fly out our military personnel? That's where diplomatic relations are important.
Absolutely.
And as not people thinking emotionally, we've got military jets, we've got the Roy Falk, we can bomb Rwanda in the. You needed Rwanda this past week. You understand? So sometimes people say things emotionally and they don't think. After South Africa left, the M23 have taken another city in Buvuma or whatever the name is in the DRC. You know what the police force did there? They left their offices, dropped their arms, and they joined M23. While their minister or their president, Tshisekedi, didn't go to the DRC Troika meeting in EAC, he was online.
Yes.
The West is then showing the African Union a middle finger. Tshisekedi, who's at the center of the DRC problem, the president of the DRC, there's a meeting in the African Union, and part of the agenda is crisis in the DRC.
Yes.
He decides to go to a nice meeting about international security in Munich, Germany. He doesn't attend the AU meeting, and we still want to take this person serious. And you know, in conclusion on this part, Tato, I said to somebody on Radio Unisa the other day,
Yes.
and I said to the listeners, and I can say to anybody in the world, any efforts to try and bring peace in the DRC,
Yes.
that will exclude the M23 movement. I'm carefully not using the word rebel because I don't think they are rebels.
Yes.
The M23 is an organization. It has caused havoc there. It has been existing from the early 2000s. Any efforts to can bring peace there that will exclude M23, it is not going to work.
Yes.
When I was President Mbeki's envoy to Kigali, Burundi, the Eastern DRC, President Mbeki said it very clear. The marching orders, Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma was our Minister of Foreign Affairs. And Minister Lindiwe Zulu was the Chief Director of the Great Lakes.
Yes.
And there was a gentleman who was the DDG for Africa, Willie Lenhlap. He was Thabo Mbeki's security advisor at some stage. They got marching orders from President Mbeki to say, if there's a war situation, you rally and you include everybody on the table.
Yes.
And it worked, even if it didn't last.
Sure.
The guns were silenced in the eastern part of the DRC because that time Joseph Kabila came to the table. Paul Kagame came to the table. Thabo Mbeki was the mediator. The president of Burundi came to the table. The president of Uganda came to the table. South Africa played a very nice pivotal role in bringing peace, and other African leaders were involved. But the main key players, M23 was on the table. In Tarahangwe, which are the rebels that moved from Rwanda into the DRC, they were on the table. Understand? And everybody agreed, and the guns were silenced, albeit temporarily. But for years, the guns were silenced. The minute Joseph Kabila left power, Tshisekedi came in. The president of Burundi came out of power. Another one came in, the fallout between Kagame and Museveni happened, and South Africa diplomatic relations with Kigali collapsed. Now it shows, what I'm saying is I'm demonstrating a picture of how diplomatic relations and engagements are important. South Africa's role that we played in the Great Lakes, it brought peace there. And this is the history that people are not talking. Why do we have? We had diplomatic relations, not military. We went there to bring peace and it worked. That day we deployed soldiers there. Hell broke loose. And I don't want to say which president deployed the soldiers there, but hell broke loose.
Tshisekedi, in fact, was called out the other day by the retired Kabila. About the fact that all of this is happening on his watch.
Yeah, the retired Kabila. Well, I
Yes.
don't know if he's retired. Joseph, the young
Joseph,
Kabila.
yes.
Yes, remember Tshisekedi defeated Kabila.
Yes.
Yes, but during Kabila's time, and I say it with authority and for the fact, during Kabila's time, all that is happening in the DRC did not happen because he relied on the South Africa's led peacekeeping process and diplomatic engagements. You understand? And I think Kabila is right. He's still young. He may come back to politics. He may contest again.
And under Kabila, this war had quietened down.
And people do not know. Thanks to President Mbeki, thanks to the cooperation and the relationship between President Mbeki, President Kagame, and President Kabila. Thanks to President Museveni. I nearly mentioned my name there, but it's okay.
No, if you're part and parcel of the process, then thank you to you also.
Well, at that time, I was President Mbeki's envoy. I was the acting ambassador of South Africa to, actually not one country,
Sure.
to Rwanda, to Burundi. And again, I'm saying to people, I was accredited to the Eastern DRC. I could drive to Goma, and nobody had a problem with it. Now, when there's a war and everybody's stealing minerals in Goma, people are starting to say, but it is Kagame who has soldiers there.
America all of a sudden showing interest in what's going on, imposing sanctions on a minister or two. How do you read that?
It's cobalt. It's a battle. It's Elon Musk. It's the battle for cobalt. Look, I'm not a scientist, but I've learned even from you that cobalt, it's very important for nuclear, for our cell phones. And America has budgeted, I've said it 2 weeks back, has a budget of $640 billion towards AI, artificial intelligence.
Sure.
So they need the cobalt.
So you're saying this is a prelude to a deal?
It's a deal. Look,
that will be struck soon.
President Trump is going to call Tshisekedi and say, come here, stop this war, we'll invest money, we'll rebuild this, we'll take over that part, we'll deal with Rwanda. We'll chase them out, but like they've done in Ukraine. They need the cobalt there. The DRC has over 75% or let me call it, 30%, over 70% of a third of the world cobalt reserves are in not even in the whole DRC, in that Goma area. And America need that cobalt to can survive. France need it. Russia has sorted themselves out. They will get the equal of cobalt from Ukraine and part of their land. They've sorted themselves out. America must come and look for cobalt reserves. And where they are in the DRC. And that's why they're getting themselves involved now. And that's why the USA tried to push South Africa to act against Kagame. I'm glad we didn't fall into the trap of fighting Rwanda, because we are entering territories that we'll never understand.
Opening a door we don't know.
We don't want to get in. That Rwanda is a small little country that we can bomb. Bomb it with what when we don't have aircraft to come and pick up our own fallen military people there? Again, if we can have, Fresh, maybe it won't happen in our lifetime. I am dreaming of a country where political office bearers, DGs and ministers, deputy ministers must all be fired. They can at least have basic education of the field you are being deployed in. That can help a long way. Imagine if our Minister of Defense, even if he was a low-ranking official in defense, he has gone through some training and knowledge, where the Minister of Science and Technology has a diploma and NQ level something in science. I'm waiting for, because when the experts, the DDGs and the chief directors and the commissioners talk to you as a minister, you can connect, you can understand what they are talking about. Now imagine I'm sitting here as a diplomat and I'm advising, if I advise the Minister of International Relations, Ntatela Mola, for free, to say, don't play in that Great Lakes area, unless you understand the history of what is going on. And then you go and you deploy soldiers there and you listen to Luchuli House or people who have no knowledge of what is going on there. That's why I've been advocating to say South Africa can actually call President Mbeki, instead of him campaigning for the ANC. He's an international statesman. South Africa must pull Mbeki out of his laurels and comfort zones and say, bro, can you go and talk to Paul?
Yes.
Go and talk to Paul, man. Let's sort this thing out. We need peace. I believe instead of sending the military there, send a diplomatic delegation led by an expert in the Great Lakes, even if it's an academic expert.
Absolutely.
Somebody who understands what's going on. We may find each other as an African nation.
Until then, we wait and see and pray and hope that one day the troops will come home.
Well, they are coming. They've arrived. Maybe the last batch will come home. That's the only way. Let's wait and see, bro.
Yes. Botsang, we are out of time, but how do people get a hold of you?
botsangm@gmail.com and on WhatsApp 082-485-9100 and on social media handles @botsangm.
Because I know you'd wanted to touch on the justice system.
Now we can postpone that.
But we can do it next week.
We can do it next week. I call it the injustice of the justice system in South Africa.
Sure.
No, that needs to be looked at very seriously. So, but we can touch on it next week. And all of it, whether it's civil law, whether it's labor law, whether it's criminal law, there is just an injustice, and it's in the system.
Sure.
The problem is the system, but we can discuss it next week. We'll make it our topic number 1 next week.
Okay, we're talking about injustice in the justice system with Botsang next week, and a lot of it from his own experience.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yes, it's true life experience.
Where do we find you, sir?
You have asked me already. Driver is gonna kill us.
Is Trevor in a hurry?
No, but I've said, where do they find me?
Okay, great stuff. Guys, we are done. Thank you for interacting. Thank you for being a part of the show. Wow, what a week with Botsang and Fresh. We'll do it again next week. Coming to you from downtown Johannesburg, we're out at the AMP Studios, part of the Africa Podcast Network. Email us at WAW, at africapodcastnetwork.com. Shout out to Trevor and Pezulu Works for the cinematography, Otis the Flow Fraser for all of our imaging, and Keleso Modisekeng, our executive producer. Till next week, have a wow week in spite of yourselves. We're out of here.